I think I'm gonna start my guide now, since we have a decent amount of people here, and I'm sure all of you guys want to learn how to play Resto Druid, so I'm gonna start my guide now. So, these are the things I want to talk about. Want me to record and send it to you? Nah. I'm gonna have it, I don't want it to be recorded at all, because then that would be like copyright. So, yeah, I'm just gonna have it on, my Twitch VODs or whatever. I'll post it on my Twitch VODs. People can see it there. Okay, so points I wanted to talk about. Best races for Druid right now. It seems like Night Elf and Tauren are still the best. High Mountain Tauren could be used if you are getting trained by a melee cleave, because they have the damage reduction for each hit you take. So I think it's like about 1k per attack, or maybe like 600 per attack. Let me check that real quick on the number. But if you're getting trained and you're in bear form, it's a lot of damage reduction if you're getting trained. Otherwise, I think Tauren's good for swaps. Night Elf's really good for Meld Drink and like Melding CC. I think Night Elf might be the best. So, Troll is also not bad if you're getting spam purged because you have faster globals with Berserking. But let me check on the number for High Mountain Tauren so I could be right about this. Pretty sure it's something around like 1k. So the number for High Mountain Tauren, it's based off of base health. So it says 27, but that should be a little bit higher because I don't have gear on, I don't think. I have like blue gear, right? Or something. All these add-ons are giving me aids. Okay, I'm gonna buy your gear real quick so I can figure out the number. It might actually be low. Let's see. Maybe High Mountain Tauren's bad. It used to be really good actually last expansion, but we'll see. So head, shoulders. It doesn't actually matter like what traits or talents. Chest, legs, belts, waist, feet, wrists, and gloves. I guess you get stamina from rings as well. But apparently I didn't buy gloves. Get some gloves. And I'll get the rings, and then I'll have enough stam.
Have a good one. Do I have a deal for you? Be good.
And I need a weapon.
Hey, how you doing?
Preferably Sea Breeze.
Keep it real.
Alright, and the number is 51. So that's not that much. Don't go High Mountain Tauren, guys. You have Bull Rush. This is okay. This like extra mobility piece. That's probably the only reason you want to go High Mountain Tauren ever. But Rugged Tenacity is not as crazy as I thought it was. It used to be really crazy last expansion. So yeah, you got a little bit extra mobility with some Bull Rush stuff. Doubt you'll need that though, unless you're trying to just not get one shot and somebody's chasing you, maybe like a Windwalker DK. You could play High Mountain Tauren and Bull Rush, and if they grip, you just wild charge away. What's up, Winter? So yeah, you'll probably never use High Mountain Tauren. Play Night Elf or Tauren. Those two are definitely the best right now. Number 2, macros. So I'll go back on my other druid and I'll show you guys some of my favorite R druid macros. I made a few new ones for BFA, so they're gonna be changed a little bit from my old macros. So the main selling points of my macros right now is my wild charge macros. So I just have party 1/2 wild charge for whatever form I'm in. Means I can leave form and charge teammates with this. They turn into whatever I want them to be. You could go travel form, just do like a normal wild charge, or you could do whatever you want with it. You can go bear and do like a bear charge. Turns into the same thing. So these will adapt to whatever you want. And then the normal focus bash macro that I always use and I recommend for everybody because it's very helpful. I added focus hibernate just to kind of use this a little bit if I'm playing versus a Resto Druid and I go in for a bash clone but he's in bear form and I'm playing with a mage. I could cast hibernate and my mage could cast sheep at the same time and we could either get the sheep or get the clone or whatever. So this is a good way to either get the sheep yourself or have your mage TC after this. I have clone 1, 2, 3 macros. These are just normal. You should always have either like focus clone or clone 1, 2, 3, as it's much easier than just targeting the person and casting the clone yourself. I have a focus mass entangle / focus bash macro. I just put this on Shift Z because I want to be able to see my bash cooldown if I'm playing it, and I want to be able to see my mass entangle cooldown as well. The only reason this doesn't work on beta right now is that I need to remake the macro entirely. So if I remake this, I think I might need to show tooltip for something. I'm not sure why this doesn't work right now actually. Maybe it's because I don't have mass entangle talented. 1 second. It works on live, but for some reason it's not showing the cooldown on this one.
Time is money, friend.
Let me get it to him. There we go. Yeah. Normally when you copy macros over with my slot, it doesn't actually like do it, but yeah, this is just a normal focus macro, so I could check the cooldown of mass entangle. If I go bash, I think it swaps back to bash. Oh, it's because I need to show tooltip bash. Show tooltip bash. For some reason, it's definitely not working, but good macro. Nice thing to have for whenever you swap talent trees. Innervate macro. That's good. You need to have an innervate on yourself so that if you're targeting this warrior over here and you're pressing your innervate button, it auto goes to yourself. I have a focus root. I have a cancel or a thorns. This is really important if you're gonna play thorns versus a windwalker monk or a warrior, and they reflect your thorns or karma your thorns. You need to be able to cancel your thorns. So definitely have this macro. And then some of my other macros I think are on my general tab. You guys should all have, if you don't already, party 1, 2, and target macros for yourself, so that you don't have to click your frames. And those are, let's see, where are they? Where did I name them? So I have target arena 1, target arena 2 somewhere, and target arena 3. So these are bound just so I don't have to like click my targets on my like Gladius or whatever. And then what else is good? These are just my scripts, you don't have to worry about these. I have a focus wild charge here. I think this might just be in case like I want to go bear form and I want to like focus charge like a healer or something that's on a pillar. So you don't really need this, but it's just quality of life. I don't think you guys need any other macros. Those are the main ones. Have clone macros, like all your CC, hibernate, root, clone, bash, just macros for everything, and the other ones will come. So now we're gonna move on to talents. So talents, you pretty much want to play some word always. The only time you're gonna play abundance is if you're facing a hunter rogue, and it can't be like a sub hunter rogue. It needs to be like an assassin or outlaw, where you just need to like spam heals into them, and you're gonna play nourish. So it's just like the old healing touch build. You're gonna play abundance nourish, and that's the only way to heal through rogue hunter right now. Everything else you're gonna play sunward. Sunward is definitely just a lot of output and nice cooldown to pre-do on yourself if you're trying not to get swapped to or whatever. So always play sunward. The second tier, it's a little bit more complicated and dependent on map and what comp you're playing. So for an example, if I'm playing versus sub frost rogue mage, outlaw frost rogue mage, I'm probably gonna play renewal most of the time, just because those swaps are pretty deadly, and you want a button that you can press out of CC and like top yourself. So, you know, worst case scenario, you get swapped to out of bear, and it's like the coin go, like the plunder go, or the veins go, or whatever. You want to be able to have a button to press out of the stun to really save yourself, because 90% of the time, wild charge is not going to be a button that you're going to press when you're at 5% health out of a stun. It's definitely not going to save you, especially if you get like frostbited rooted. It's not going to do anything. And then Tiger Dash, it's not going to be enough. You're going to die to like some range Ice Lance or some like step Shadow Strike or whatever. So you always want to play renewal versus sub frost or outlaw frost RMP. Wild charge, you're going to play this 80% of games. It's really good for mobility. You have like so many ways to move. You could just go in travel form and leap 20 yards, kind of treat it like old Displacer Beast. You could go in bear form, and when you're playing Bounce Affinity, which I'll get to in a minute, this wild charge, the charge to a person or charge to an enemy player, this is going to be 30 yards, so this is actually farther than Displacer Beast used to be. So this is like a really, really long, I just want to get the fuck out of here, so you could like charge a healer on the other team, or whatever. You could go cat, it's kind of the same thing. You leap and you daze people. The other one just roots, but yeah, you can do whatever you want. You can go cat, you can go bear. You're going to be most of the time using it to charge to teammates, so you're not going to be in a form at all, and you could still, like 30 yards away, if you have a teammate 30 yards away, you just charge to your teammate. And as I was kind of going into, Bounce Affinity is going to increase the range of your wild charge, so that's why this right now is better than Guardian Affinity in most scenarios, besides facing Rogue Mage or stuff that swaps to you during stuns with Big Burst. So 80% of the time you're going to be playing Bounce Affinity. Especially when you play Rogue Mage, you're almost going to always be playing Bounce Affinity, just to make sure you get those clones on the healer that's really far away from you, or not exposing yourself while getting clones on DPS. You're going to avoid more damage being in the right position than you are going to be with Guardian Affinity. So Bounce Affinity is really good. I take Bash almost every game, unless I'm playing with something with like spam stuns that I'm not really going to need to use my Bash. Maybe like a sub rogue, or an outlaw rogue. You can still play Bash with an outlaw rogue, but sometimes you, depending on map, you can get value out of Typhoon. Maybe not, 90% of the time, but like 10% of the time you can play Typhoon on like Blade's Edge or Dalaran Sewers versus like a class that doesn't have enough mobility. You're going to play Mass Entangle versus BM Hunters a lot. You're also going to play it versus things that don't have a ton of root breaks. if you don't have the ability to just sit there and cast a root, like let's say you're getting trained by an assassination rogue, you could just run behind the pillar, shove a root on him. He's stuck in it for 8 seconds. You know, if he doesn't have cloak or vanish, which is every 2 minutes, then he's sitting this. So you're gonna get like, you know, 2 of your 4 roots are gonna be full, assuming he doesn't waste cloak or vanish, and maybe more will be full. This next tree, I don't really play Soul of the Forest ever. I play Cultivation most games, but rarely versus Shaman Cleaves, or things that have like just a really big offensive I need to deal with in the opener. Could be like Fury Warrior cooldowns, or you know, Feral Incarn, or Sub-Rogue cooldowns like Blades and all of their bursts. You could use Tree Form. I would recommend using this mainly versus Shaman Cleaves, and then you get more mastery from your cultivation on the other games. So, yeah, Tree Form, like I said, you can use it sometimes, mainly for Shaman Cleaves though. This tree, you're gonna play Stonebark pretty much every game. The other ones are pretty poop. You don't really do anything. Photosynthesis, I've done some testing with this, and it seems like Germination is still better due to the fact that, you know, your mastery is per hot you have up. So photosynthesis is definitely, it needs to be like buffed or something in order for it to be better than Germination. The only scenario that I could see this being better is versus like maybe a spam purge shaman team where you could, you know, just put up life bloom and it heals for more, rather than having your 2 rejuves to get purged that you'll probably never have up anyways. But yeah, 80% of the games you're gonna play Germination. So that's like the main talents. Flourish you probably never touch ever. It's pretty bad. And now we're on to the honor talents. So Gladiator's Medallion, you're gonna play most games. The only time I play Relentless is when I face Windwalkers, any form of a Hunter comp that I don't have to deal with, like a one-shot. So Hunter Warrior, Hunter Feral. I sometimes play it versus Rogue Mage if my teammates are tanky enough, because if you play Relentless, most of the time it'll fuck up the gaps in between the stun DRs versus like sub rogues or outlaw rogues, as long as like they have some form of defense where you can rely on something like anti-magic zone or darkness. Normally with DHs you're pretty safe to play Relentless versus Rogue Mage, but you're gonna play Trinket most games. Relent's pretty nice versus Windwalkers to reduce in-cap stun combo. Also, since Windwalkers only have 1 stun with leg sweep, as long as you get stunned with full hots, Relentless will bring you out in time for you to react to something, so I like it versus Windwalkers a lot. Normally what you want to use your Trinket on versus like everything else is like really long CCs like Blind, Warrior Fear, a really important trap, maybe like a kidney if you really need it to, but you know, everybody knows how to use your Trinket at this point, I'm sure. You're gonna play Focus Growth pretty much every game. It's one of your best honor talents, even if after nerfs it seems still really good. Dude, you know, looking at my healing logs and everything, so Focus Growth's definitely still the right pick. You're gonna play this 100% of the time. Overgrowth, I like playing Overgrowth when I face things that have a lot of CC, or they have some type of a go, so mages, hunters, some Windwalker, Ellie setup comp. Every setup comp you wanna play Overgrowth. You can get away with not playing Overgrowth versus like maybe Warlock teams, because they don't really have much of a go. So you'd only be like using it to get the wild growth, which isn't really worth it. So don't play Overgrowth versus like LSD or Shadowplay or any type of comp like that. And then last one, you're gonna either play Clone if you're playing something like Rogue Mage Druid. You could also play Disentanglement if you're gonna be playing with a few melee DPS. So if you're like a Cleave Druid, you could play Disentanglement, make sure you get your melee out of those roots, versus like Frost Mages or Windwalkers. And maybe you'll play Thorns if you need like some extra pressure, but that's like if you really don't need Clone. If your comp is reliant on getting CC to kill, then you should take Clone. If it's not, then you should either play Druid of the Claw, Thorns, or Disentanglement to have some extra utility for your team. So that pretty much covers the talents. After the talents, we're going with gear and stat priority. So right now, the best thing to stack is main haste and then off mastery. So you're going to be getting all the haste mastery pieces. You're going to be getting mostly haste on it over mastery. Like there's some with mastery more than haste. You're going to be getting the haste more than mastery. Your trinkets, the best trinkets are currently this trinket right here that gives you haste on use. It's super good. It's similar to your artifact ability from last expansion where you increase your hots and how much they heal. You can also get like fast cleanse with it. It's pretty nice. It's on a 1 minute 30-second cooldown. So this will take you out of some pretty sketchy situations. This trinket right here is the other second best trinket. It's gonna be mastery and an end proc. This trinket is up 30% of the game. It has a really high uptime, and as soon as you have it up, you pretty much are fine. If you get like a Swiftman with this, it'll almost guarantee top your teammate. I think right now Seabury staff is probably still the best until further notice, but the staff I think is like a world quest drop. Just gives you another crap ton of haste, but yeah, like, I really like this weapon. You're gonna be getting haste enchants and haste enchant on weapon. And then as far as your Azurite trait gear goes, what it seems like is you need Grove Tending. This is affected by your mastery. So this is going to give you that 14% extra healing after you Swiftmend on the rest of your hots for 9 seconds. I took Blessed Portents for my second one because the other ones don't seem too tasteful. So this is just going to be like when you drop below 50, you get a little extra heal. And then my last one I took Gem Hide because you're not going to get any value out of Reawakening. So this is going to be the Cowl of Fluid. I can't even pronounce that last word. So Cowl of Fluid Machinations? I don't fucking know. So that's the best element. For the second one, I made sure to get Synergistic Growth, since when you overgrowth, it actually procs this. It's just a little bit more mastery, so it's quite a bit of burst healing when you have overgrowth or when you cast a wild growth. So this is really important. This banner, I realized, is actually pretty good for you and your teammates. It procs quite a bit. It'll probably be up like in a 5-minute game. It'll probably be up for like 2 minutes on like a bad day, like 3 minutes on a good day. Procs quite a bit. I think it just gives you some end and it gives you some health, so it's pretty nice. This is just normal. When you take damage, you heal every 6 seconds, and I think this is maybe like 2,000 or something. Let me look at my healing breakdown. I think it's like 2,000 per tick in arena. Passive vision, 2,600 on a crit and 2,000 on a normal. So just a little bit of damage reduction. The last piece, I have the Vest of the Veiled Griffin. I got another banner because banners seem to be really good. They rotate pretty well. I got the haste proc, or not the haste proc, but the haste passive with avoidance, and then another resounding protection, and that's just gonna give me like a little bit more tankiness. So, but the really important one is Grove Tending. You need at least one Grove Tending, and then the other ones you can kind of either pick banners, you can pick Ysera's gift traits. It's not gonna matter too much, but I like the banners because it seems like the banners rotate well with each other. So yeah, make sure you get Grove Tending, and then other things don't matter. What comps are good with our Druid? So right now it seems like the best comps that I've played on our Druid on beta are RMD, Druid TSG, Ellie Rogue, Resto Druid, and Druid Thugcleave. All of these comps are really good, and I probably RMD is the best. Druid TSG is the second best. So those comps have a lot of synergy with each other. They do a lot of damage. They just pump. I don't know. Those comps are definitely like the best right now. In RMD, like I said, you need to play clone and just get a lot of good clones. Druid TSG, you're gonna play more of like a defensive role and just make sure you have hots on the right people, make sure you're positioned well, and you're rotating Iron Bark on good things. Rogue's finally got the nerf. Yeah, I heard about it. Definitely heard about that. So those are like the good comps. The bad comps to face on our Druid, you really don't want to face like sub-rogue stuff. Any sub-rogue, any BM hunter, you're gonna have troubles, like, for sure. And then warriors seem harder now. Fury warriors, arms warriors, whatever. Unholy DKs used to be hard, but I haven't fought any after nerf, so I'm sure they're a lot easier. But mainly the classes that set up with stuns and bursts, you're gonna have a hard time with. So you're gonna need to play with like classes that deal with that very well, which I think are probably gonna be warriors and demon hunters. So strengths and weaknesses for talents and matchups. So yeah, you're gonna take an offensive role when you play rogue mage, like I was talking about. When you play sub frost rogue mage, you're gonna need to be able to clone the third target off of sheep shot. And then once your mage is done with stun into sheep on the healer, you're gonna need to push up on the healer and get a clone. So that's the weakness that other people have against you. And your general rotation things are just gonna be mostly you get 3 life limbs up, and then you use 2 rejuves, get your 2 rejuves up. You could fake a wild growth, go for a swift mend if you really need extra healing. Sendward as well. You're gonna be using Sendward into Swiftmend if you want like the most healing possible. But normally you don't need to do that, so trading Sendward and Swiftmend on different goes is really good. But if you really need to commit all of that healing, then you can. Obviously you're gonna be facing classes that have like 45-second to a minute cooldowns, so you're gonna want to trade Ironbark with those. When you're getting trained, another big tip is you need to Ironbark yourself before barkskinning, because normally you want to save barkskin for a stun. So a lot of good druids will Ironbark themselves before barkskinning just to make sure that they have barkskin for the stun. So that's super good to do. Ironbark is way better than barkskin just because of the healing over time from it, from your talent. So make sure you use this really, really well. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, now LSD Thunder not so good for our druids. It seems like LE Resto Druid is really good, but locks aren't so good right now. So when you play with an LE, you're gonna probably not be playing with a lock. You're probably gonna be playing with like a rogue or a warrior or something like that. LSD is not gonna be that good. Thunder might actually be really good. I've never tried Thunder yet because I don't know a lot of warriors, but I'm sure Thunder is okay. Thanks for the guide. I will now protect the honor of the Alliance. Also, versus AoE damage, we don't take Overgrowth. Yes. Normally when you face like not AoE stuff, Overgrowth's not that good. So if it's AoE damage with like CC, like let's say you face like RPS, that's probably like my best example. You'd probably still play Overgrowth versus that because there's still like some form of like crowd control and setup to like that super pressure. So you could still play Overgrowth for stuff like that. But when you face like things like Lock Shadow Priest or Lock Ellie or DK Lock, there's not a lot of setup to that, so you don't have to play Overgrowth for those things. You could play um, like I said, you could play the Root thing, or you could play Druid of the Claw if you're getting ran at and you want to be more tanky, or you could play Revitalize. But Revitalize actually isn't that good. I've tested it out and it feels like it's normally like 2% of your healing, so I almost never take Revitalize recently. Thoughts on Feral Affinity for 2s? Feral Affinity is probably still good in 2s. I haven't played a lot of 2s, because BFA, you're only allowed to queue scrims as a healer. But Feral Affinity is probably still good for 2s. I haven't played it much in 3s, because it feels like if people do get to you, then you're just dead. But I used to play it versus, like, TSG. Like, you'd get gripped in, and I used to, like, displace her, and just, like, travel form away. And they would just spam Chains of Ice, so I would just spam Shift. Like, cat, travel. But it feels like now, since they give you Wild Charge, that you'll, like, never ever use Feral Affinity, because you're just gonna be, like, running away most of the game with that. Revitalize might be decent if mana becomes a thing. It doesn't seem like I though. I actually played like a 12-minute game today, and I was really, really healthy on mana. And I played like a 10-minute game versus Windwalker LA as well, and I got down to like 40%, and I just like ended up getting a drink. So it doesn't feel like most games come to mana. What's the highest healing rotation on a swap in BFA? So, sorry, I had to message somebody. So the highest rotation of healing possible is you get your rejuves up. Are you saying on a swap to yourself, or just like the most healing you could possibly do? It would be double rejuve, life bloom, get up your first growth, regrowth, wild growth, Semward, and Swiftmend with your trinket. And this is like the most healing you could possibly do. You also drop an efflorescence. This is physically the most healing you could possibly do. Just keep your wild growth up, keep your regrowth up. And after you have all of your hots up, you just spam regrowth. Do you recommend this macro? No, I don't really recommend that macro. I don't have a lot of help arm macros. Actually, I don't think I have any help arm macros. I tried to have like a purge dispel macro on my shaman last expansion, and I didn't like it. It felt really weird. So the only reason my keybinds are like semi-full right now is because I have Arena 1, 2, 3 for almost every ability, and Party 1, 2 for almost every ability. So it's gonna be really hard to fill up your action bars. Do you think Monk or Druid Lock Destro Elemental Shaman can be effective? Do you think that Calm Monk or... I'm a little bit confused by your question. Are you saying is LSD gonna be good with Destro? Or is Monk better? Is that what you mean? I think Mistweaver is probably better for that comp, but I don't think Destro locks are that good right now. Mistweaver should be better for that comp. I'm pretty sure. You're welcome. Twitch 3-0. Smut for me on beta pump. I don't know if you're still around, Dak, but I was just finishing this guide, and I'm not sure what I'm gonna do actually. I don't have a third. I think I was gonna play with Avijira, possibly. But yeah, I really wanted to make sure that you guys knew what was going on with this. Let's see if Avi has a third and we can play, maybe. Do you have a third? You're welcome, Exotic. I'm gonna throw my music back on since I'm semi-done talking.